let's take up number 3A from the homework. Remember yesterday I told you you can use decimal to help you with these, but for the first one, for the sake of the review, I just want to graph it with you guys by hand. So you have the first equation, y equals negative 3x minus 2. This is already in slope-intercept form. So all you have to do, what's your m, what's your b? What's m, what's b? Bidar.
M is negative 3.
B is?
Negative 2.
Perfect. Okay, so there you go. I have my first line. Second equation, 2x plus 3y equals 5. So let's say I rearrange it to put it in y equals mx plus b form. So 3y equal 2x, move it over, you get negative 2x. And then divide everything by 3. So y equals negative 2 over 3x plus 5 over 3. Okay, so then my slope is negative 2 over 3, and my y-intercept is 5 over 3. Alright, when we graph it, because graphing is not the most accurate method, but it will do. So let me just that. Okay, so that's your x-axis, y-axis. Let's graph the first point, negative 2. And then from that point, I'm going to do my slope, negative 3. So down 3, 1, 2, 3, over what? 1, 2, 3, over what? I can do this all day. Okay. Okay, there's my first line. Okay. Second line, 5 over 3. So that's why I say graphing is not the most accurate method, but for grade 9, we'll base it off the graph. So 5 divided by 3 is about 1.6. So 1.6 right here. Okay. And then I'm going to go down 2/3 of a box. Go down 2 and over 3. So go down 2, go down 1 box, 2 box, I'm about right here, and then over 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Again, I can go down another 2 box, 1 box, 2 box, and then over 3. Okay. Notice my point is always like in the middle of it, because I'm going down 1 box, which is about like right here, and then going down another box, so I'm not really on the grid. Oops. Okay. And then when I connect my dots, okay, I get this intersection point. Okay, and what is the, roughly, based on the graph, what's the coordinates of this intersection point? Okay, looks like it's about negative 1.5, and 1, 2, 2.5. Okay, and there you go. If you were to use decimal to graph it, you'll get a more precise answer. How long are you gonna take?
5 minutes.
Then after the lesson. Okay. This number 4 right here, I just want to create the 2 equations for you, because I heard you guys working on this one yesterday, and you guys had some discussion with your partner. That was awesome. Alright, so the sum of 2 integers is 42. What does sum mean? Yep.
The result of addition.
Addition. Good, good. Okay, so the sum of two integers is 42, so x plus y equals 42. That's my first equation. Alright, and then my second equation says the difference of the two numbers is 17. So what does difference mean?
X minus y equals 17.
Right, x minus y equals 17. There you go. There's my two equation. If you were to graph it, you can see the intersection point, but because it goes all the way up to 42, you can probably use decimal to help with the graph so that you're not using a whole page for one graph. Okay, decimal graphing calculator. So here you can type in your equation x plus y, whoops, x plus y equal 42. Okay, and then x minus y equals 17. Okay, I don't see anything because,
Zoom out.
right, okay, zoom it up. There it is. Okay, and then I can zoom it back in to figure my intersection point is 29.5 and 12.5.
What happens if you keep zooming out?
You keep zooming out. Alright, yeah, your line goes on forever, remember. Alright, I'm in the thousands. So your line goes on forever, but you can see I can't see where the intersection point is. So if you zoom it back in, zoom, 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 then you can actually see the intersection point. And it's right here, 29.5 and 12.5. Okay. So if you use those two numbers, again, remember for all these, you can check your answer. So 29.5 plus 12.5, you do get 42. 29.5 minus 12.5, you do get 17. Okay?
Yes,
I
graphing.
think like the only way to actually like see if they intersect.
Good question. In grade 10, you will learn how to solve it mathematically using method of substitution, method of elimination. But in grade 9, it's all based on graph. Later on, if you do want to learn the grade 10 method, I'll be happy to go over it with you guys as an extra. Okay? So you can come up anytime during the class and we can go over it. Okay, so that was the homework from yesterday. Again, your assignment is going to be based on two lines intersect. Okay, today, page 6. Okay, so if you can go to page 6. Okay, so page 6, we're going to combine what we know from chapter 4, algebra, with chapter 7, equation of a line. Alright, so as I said, I'm just doing 3 examples. Alright, if you pay attention, it's nice and easy. Alright, but if you don't pay attention, it's pretty hard to figure out on your own. Alright, so make sure you are paying attention and that phone is away.
The end of song.
Well, I'm searching up something right now.
Oh, where's your package?
Well, I have this right
Yeah, so you don't need your phone.
there. Oh, I'm okay.
Alright, so by the end of the lesson, you'll be able to find the slope of a line given 2 points. Use the slope and a point to find the equation, and then write your equation in slope-intercept form. Okay, so this first example, it's what we've been doing for the last week. Alright, you're given a graph. So to build an equation, what are 2 pieces of information we need?
The y intersection.
And
The slope.
right, okay, so that's all you need to find any equation. You need the slope and the y-intercept. Since we're given the graph, okay, are we given M or B?
No.
B.
B, yeah, it's right here.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, my y-intercept is given. All I have to do is look at my graph and I can point it out right away. Okay. another point that I want to choose on the line is this x-intercept. It doesn't have to be the x-intercept, but it's a nice point to use. Alright, so from the left point to the right point, what do I have to do? What's my slope? Adihi? 2 over 3?
Yeah. Yeah, y is over 1.
Jenny? Negative. Your line is going this way, remember. So you go down 2 and over 3. So negative 2 over 3. Don't forget the direction of your line. That's the very common, is a common mistake. So y equals y equals mx plus b. That's the general equation of a line. So now I'm just replacing the m, replacing the b. So what's my equation? Vidar?
Y equals negative 2 over 3x plus 2.
Excellent. And that's it. All right. So this is nothing new. We've been doing it for the last week, and we know how to do it because we're given the graph. All right. But what about example 2? I'm not given a graph. All right. How many of you like graphing? Okay, exactly. Okay, so it takes time. I understand. All right. So because graphing is not the most time efficient thing, right here, when you're given a slope and a point, I don't want you to graph it. You actually have enough info to solve it algebraically. Okay. So again, you need m and b to build your equation. Do I know m? Yeah, I do. Okay, Armin, what's m? 3 over 4. It's given. All right. Do I know b? No. All right. This is not your y-intercept.
What is that?
Just a point. So in any point, all right, in this point 4, 1 right here, this is in any point, remember, you have a x value and a y value. So in other words, you're given x is 4 and y is 1. Alright. So why does that matter? Because we know in that equation y equal mx plus b. Do we know what y is? What's y? 1, right? Because in any point, you're given the x and y value. So if they give you the 0.41, they tell you what x is and what y is. So y is 1. Do we know what m is? 3 over 4. Do we know what x is? 4. And so, if you take a look at your equation now, what's the only thing we don't know? B. And so we can solve for B. Okay, so again, y equals mx plus b. That's the general equation of a line. We're given the point, xy. So we're going to substitute the values in. So y is 1, m is 3/4, x is 4. And so we can use algebra to solve for b. Question? All right. So 1 equals 3 divided by 4 times 4. If you need to, you can use your calculator. Yeah. Okay, so 3 divided by 4 is 0.75. Times it by 4, you get 3. Right? Or you can just do this. 3 divided by 4 times 4.
What does the formula look like when you're trying to find b?
This is the general formula. Y equals mx plus b.
Oh.
Okay. Because we're trying to find out what b is. Okay, so we simplified it this. It gave me 3. Yeah, and so to solve for b now, remember in chapter 4, to solve for b, what do we have to do with that 3?
You have to subtract 1 by 3.
Yeah. So b is -2. I have my b. I have my m. I can write my equation now. Yeah. Bedar?
The equation is y equals 3 over 4x minus 2. But I think there's an easier way to do it.
Is there an easier way?
Yeah.
What is the easier way?
Okay. So like, you know how like the m is a fraction?
Uh-huh.
So it's y is over 1. So the 3 would be the y and the 4 would be the x. So if it's since it's full, if you do 4 minus 4, you get 0. And if you do 1 minus 3, you get negative 2. The coordinate's 0 minus 2.
Oh, good.
Yeah, you can just do
Yeah, so you were doing it visually in your head, okay? Yeah, you can do that too. But in the next example, it's harder to visualize because your m and b are both fractions. Yeah, but that's very good. So what he did was he was thinking about this point, and then from this point he was doing his rise over run to go to 0, -2. Okay. You could do that way too. But as I said, if it's a fraction, then it's a little hard to visualize. All right. We're gonna do example 3. Nice. So, example 3, a line passes through these 2 points. Now find the equation. All right. So, again, remember you have to have m and you have to have b. Do I know what m is? Am I given m? No. Am I given b? No. So this time I'm not given either. Okay. But if you go back to like the very first lesson that we did slope, there's actually a formula to calculate slope. Good. Jenny, what's that formula? Perfect. Okay, so if you're like looking at this formula and like, what are all these? Just like as we said, every point has an x and a y value. Has an x and a y value. Okay, but these are 2 different points. So how do I distinguish between them? So I'll call this point 1 and I'll call this point 2. Alright, these are subscripts. These are not exponents, these are not integers, you're not multiplying by 2. These are like little subscripts to for you to separate point 1 and point 2. Alright. After 10 years of teaching, I still write these subscripts, I still write this on top of my points. Alright. It will save some confusion, it will be easier. Just make sure when you label it x1, y1 and not x1, x2. You don't label it x1, y2. Okay? Make sure if you're labeling it, label it correctly. Every point is an x and a y. X and a y.
Wait, does it matter what order you put them in?
Good question. As long as the y's are in the top. Okay? Because it's rise over run, right? So the rise is your y difference divided by your x difference. Doesn't matter which one you call point 1 and point 2 because both points are on the line. So you're just talking about the difference between the 2 points. Okay? So let's substitute these values in. What's y2? 0. All right, y2 we said it's 0. Take away, what's y1? Adi? -3. Over, what's x2? Yep, -1. And what's x1? -3. Okay, so you see how labeling it helps you see exactly what is x1, what is y2, and all that? Okay. When I substitute, take a look at how I made my substitution. Okay, how do I write the numbers? Brackets. Make sure you write the brackets. If you don't write the brackets, you're gonna mess up on your signs. Alright. 0 minus -3. 3. -1 minus -3. 2. Because it's -1 plus 3, which gives you 2. Okay, again, if you're not very good with the positive, negative numbers, you can always use your calculator. Calculators are allowed on every test. So -1 minus -3, you'll get 2. Okay? So what did we just find? We found m. We found our slope. So now this question becomes exactly like this question. Okay, given m and a point. Here, you're given m and 2 points. Doesn't matter which point I choose. Doesn't matter which point I choose.
Well, I have a question.
Okay, 1 second. So who says no? Doesn't matter which point I choose. Good. Because both points are on the line. Right? You're trying to find the equation. You're trying to find the equation of a line. So if both points are on the line, it doesn't matter which point you choose. They're both on the line. Okay? Why did I choose this point instead of this one? Jenny? Easier, right? There's a 0 in there. 1 and 0 looks more friendly than the -3, -3. So it doesn't matter which point, but 1 is usually a better choice.
How do you find m if you only have one set of coordinates?
You can't. You have to have 2 points to find the slope.
So you can't find it with only one?
No.
Okay.
Okay. So now we can do what we did in example 2. Okay, y equals mx plus b. What's my y if I'm using this point? 0. What's my m? I just figured it out. 3/2. I just figured it out here. What's my x? Yep, -1. Okay. And I don't know what b is. That's what I'm trying to find out. Okay? So 0 equals 3/2 times -1. You can put it as leave it as a fraction form. So -3/2. Okay. Move this over to the other side. 0 plus 3/2. And you get this. So I have my m, I have my b. What's my equation? Y equal, Adihi? Perfect. Alright. Okay, so to recap this question, okay, I used the slope formula to help me figure out the slope. Once I have the slope, I'm going to choose one of these points and substitute it into y equals mx plus b. And then using algebra, I solve for b, and then I put these two numbers together. Alright. Can you guys try it now with example 4? Okay, try with example 4. It's exactly the same question. Okay, so you can follow each of these steps. So step 1, find a slope. Step 2, substitute it in. And then step 3, putting it together. Okay, so try this one. Okay, try it. Just follow step by step. Andrew. We're trying number 4. Try it out. I'll come around to that.
What?
Step. Okay.
Can I have a question?
Yeah, 1 second. Let me just show the class. Okay, so I got this as my slope. I went around. A lot of you guys got this, which is awesome. Don't forget to reduce though. -6/4 is the same as -3/2. Okay, you can reduce. Once you have your slope, I chose this point, and then you're going to substitute it into y equals mx plus b. Alright, so we take a look to see.
I got that too.
Good.
But I made it into like I divided it. Is that fine? Yeah. So this will be right.
Yep. Okay, but you only did the first part of the question.
What's
You
the
found the
second?
slope. Second part is you have to choose one of these points and substitute it into y equals mx plus b. Good. Yeah. Excellent. So then figure out what this is. Simplify this.
is -6? Oh.
Yeah, so some of you use -6/4, some of you use -3/2. You'll get the same answer, but in your final answer, make sure you reduce.
Doesn't matter like which one you start with.
So what do we do now?
Like if it's 2 minus 1, and also it doesn't matter which one you
Doesn't
start
matter
with.
which one.
None of them?
Yeah, I just chose the -2 because it's a smaller number.
Okay, so what are we supposed to do next?
Okay, so this is my next line. Alright, so I substituted my x, my y, and my m. Okay. Once I have that, I'm gonna punch this part into the calculator to simplify this. You working or?
Yeah, how should you get -3/2?
I know it's a Friday, but as I said, this lesson, if you pay attention, it's a lot easier, it's very hard to figure this lesson out on your own.
She got -3/2 by reducing this.
Alright, so we're gonna do.
And that's how you keep it.
I see.
After this? Yeah, but then you plug, so now that we know what y is and m is and what x is and what b is, you replace it with y equals m. So after you did that, you know what y is and
Okay,
what m is?
again, it doesn't matter which point you use.
Like after
I
you do this.
substituted with the
After you know what all
-2,
that shit
-2.
is, what's that?
I could have substituted with the -6 and the
She
4.
gave you the answer,
Because both points are on the line, so it doesn't matter which point you
Except he shouldn't give you b.
you use. Alright, so on my calculator, I can do -3 divided by 2 times -2. Alright, and I get 3. So now it's, which means I get this. This part, this fraction simplified to the 3. Okay, and so to solve for b, -2 minus 3, I get the 5. And so now that I have my m, I have my b, what's my final equation?
Oh.
Yep.
-2 equals -3/2 times -2 plus -5.
No, final equation. So I have my m, I have my b. I can substitute it into y equals mx plus b. So I replace the m and the b only.
Y equals -3 to x minus b.
Yes. Alright, good job. Once I find the m and the b, that's what I put into the equation. I leave the x and the y. So I know that the confusing part is right here, you had to replace the x and the y. But then in your final answer, you leave your x and your y. So I think that part is what makes some people a little confused. We substituted in here is because we don't know what b is. We needed the point to figure out what b is. Once we have b, remember from like the previous 3 examples, to make my equation, all I need is m and b. To make my equation, all I need is m and b. M and b. And so here, once I have m and b, I can write my equation.
When you put down coordinates, you always put x first and y second.
Yes, yes, yes. Every coordinate is x and then y. Sing the alphabet song, remember? M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. So always x and then y. Okay, this question, you can guarantee, this type of question, you can guarantee to see it on the exam, not just test. You'll probably see it on the test as well, and more importantly, you will see a question like this on the exam because it tests you on how to find slope using the formula, and it tests you on how to find the y-intercept. Okay. So you'll see this question for sure on the exam. So you have the next half an hour to practice. If you don't want any homework over the weekend, then work on it now. I'll come around to help. As I said, this there's a lot of algebra involved. All right, so you do have to practice. It's 3 steps. All right. So you do have to practice. All right, there's no other easier way to do these but to practice. Make sure. When you do these questions, number 1, 2, 3, I think it's more like example 2, where they give you the slope, and then afterwards you'll have to do this part where you have to figure out the slope. Okay, any questions? Okay, I will upload this video on YouTube as well, so if you need to review today's lesson, you can.